Channel Status Theory, Episode 23. Target length 10 to 12 minutes. Word count approximately 1,100 words. A few years ago, the highest status outfit in the room had a logo on it. Then something shifted. The Succession cast started wearing beige and camel. Gwyneth Paltrow wore neutral tones to her ski trial. The word stealth wealth started appearing in fashion coverage. TikTok discovered the row, and suddenly the most aspirational aesthetic in the room was the one that looked like it was trying the least. Quiet luxury, old money aesthetic, stealth wealth. These were not just fashion trends, they were symptoms of something deeper happening in how status is performed in public. And understanding why it happened tells you a lot about the current moment in wealth culture. Start with a clear definition, because the term has been diluted. Quiet luxury is not minimalism. It is not just wearing neutral colors. It is not buying plain things. Quiet luxury is the strategic use of quality, restraint, and insider recognition in place of visible branding. The person wearing quiet luxury is not hiding their wealth. They are encoding it for a different audience. The logos are gone, but the price points are not. A plain cashmere sweater from Loro Piana retails for over $1,000. Brunello Cucinelli's simplest trousers cost more than most designer logo pieces. The Row, which became the brand most closely associated with the trend, sells basics at prices that would startle anyone outside its target market. The defining feature is this: quiet luxury is readable only by people who already know the codes. A passing stranger may not recognize Brunello Cucinelli, but a certain kind of person in a certain kind of room will see the fabric drape, the fit, the specific beige, and understand exactly what they are looking at. This is status communication narrowcast to an audience that already belongs. The rise of quiet luxury did not happen in a vacuum. It was a reaction to a specific cultural moment. The 2010s were defined by hyper-visible luxury. Instagram made designer logos an aspirational shorthand for everyone with a phone. Streetwear collabs, Supreme, Off-White, Gucci logomania, turned branding into the point. The louder and more legible, the better. This worked when status anxiety was high and the audience for status signals was broad and upwardly mobile. But the hypervisibility had a problem. It became legible to everyone. When logos are common enough that aspirational shoppers, entry-level luxury buyers, and counterfeit market consumers are all wearing similar visual codes, the code loses its exclusivity. Status signals only work as signals if they can separate you from people you want to be separated from. The post-pandemic moment accelerated this dynamic. Heightened economic anxiety, the collapse of certain public performance norms, and a cultural backlash against conspicuous consumption created a climate where ostentatious display felt tone-deaf. Research has consistently shown that economic inequality and conspicuous consumption are related, but in complex ways. In moments of high inequality visibility, some wealthy people retreat from public display to avoid social friction. At the same time, social media created a massive aspirational middle market for luxury aesthetics that watered down the very signals it was amplifying. When everyone is wearing a logo bag, the logo bag stops working as a signal for the top of the market. The natural response from the actual top of the market? Go somewhere the followers cannot easily reach.
There is a psychological concept relevant here: in-group and out-group signaling. When a signal is legible to everyone, it is broadcasting. When a signal is legible only to insiders, it is a whisper, and whispers bind groups more tightly than broadcasts. Quiet luxury functions as an in-group signal. If you recognize the Row, you belong. If you know what Loro Piana is by touch, you belong. If you understand why a quiet navy blazer from a certain Savile Row address costs $10,000, you belong. If none of those references landed, the signal was not aimed at you, and that is exactly the point. This dynamic was studied extensively by the consumer behavior researchers Han, Nunes, and Dre in their 2010 paper in the Journal of Marketing, which classified luxury consumers into 4 types based on wealth and desire for status. The wealthiest and most secure group, what the researchers called patricians, preferred signals legible only to other wealthy insiders. The aspirational group preferred loud, broadly legible signals. Quiet luxury is patrician signaling. Logo-heavy luxury was historically aspirational signaling. The succession effect is worth naming here. The show's costume designer, Michelle Matland, dressed the Roy family in quiet luxury as a deliberate choice. The clothes signal that they are so far above status anxiety that they do not need to signal at all. This had measurable cultural impact. Google searches for brands like Loro Piana and The Row spiked following episodes. A fictional family in a TV show contributed to a real shift in aspirational fashion. Every status signal eventually gets copied, and quiet luxury is no exception. By 2023, high-street chains were selling quiet luxury collections. Fast fashion offered the aesthetic in synthetic materials at fraction prices. TikTok tutorials on how to dress old money accumulated hundreds of millions of views. The very trend born from the desire to evade mass legibility had become mass legible. This is the fundamental problem with any status signal. The moment it can be taught, copied, and mass-produced, it starts losing its function. And the elite always respond by moving. The most likely next phase is not louder luxury. It is even more coded, more contextual, more experience-based signaling, where what you have done and where you have been and who you know replaces what you wear. The status signal migrates from objects to experiences to networks, things that cannot be bought off a rack and definitely cannot be copied from a TikTok tutorial. Quiet luxury was never just about clothes. It was a cultural reset, a realignment of who the signal was aimed at and who was meant to read it. Now that the trend has gone mass, the truly elite have already moved on. The question is, where are they going? And that is a question status theory will keep decoding. Subscribe if you want to stay ahead of the signal.